So the last video I did was making the right connections. A fairly positive piece. I talked about authors and publishers, people in the business that I met along the way that helped my career. So now somebody had said, "Well, you got to do a video about the wrong connections, right?" And I said, "You know what? You're right. Except I knew I wasn't going to make a video naming names. So if you tuned in thinking, oh, good, he's going to tell us about all the bad people out there, probably not going to happen. Although none of this is scripted, so who knows? I tend to shoot my mouth off. If I mention you in this video, I apologize ahead of time. First off, I want to thank everybody for hitting the subscribe button. I want to thank everybody for watching these videos. I want to thank everybody for commenting on these videos, letting me know your thoughts. Because again, Armand's opinion on this stuff. This is my opinion on this crazy, crazy career we call writing. Also, thank you for watching at least 30 seconds of each ad. That helps. That's how I get paid. This is really the only reason I'm doing these videos. I don't care about anything I'm saying. I kid. I'm a kidder. All right. Making the wrong connection. So I've mentioned this several times in other videos. I've done everything wrong you can possibly do in this career. Learn from your mistakes, kind of thing. Eventually, I learned from my mistakes. And there are some people that will bring you down. There are some people that will be negative. There are a lot of people out there that are jealous of the things that you do. Okay. So a true friend, say you win an award. I don't hold much stake in you winning awards, right? But I have a couple. Hey, I'm proud. My wife has framed a couple. I won some audiophile awards for a couple of my audio books. And I'm happy, and I put them up. I frame them. They're hidden behind a bunch of Funko Pops at this point, but they're up there. I mean, I can kind of see the top of them. And I once had a friend writer who came to my house once and said, "What are those? What did you win?" And I said, "Oh, I won the audio file award for whatever 2017, 2016, whatever it was for Dirty D's for the audiobook." And they said, "Is that a real award?" And I said, "Yeah, the website gives out awards, and I won the award." But I mean, that's not like a Stoker. I said, "No, I didn't say it was a Stoker. I said it was an audiophile award." That's it. And they're like, "Oh," and it was like very dismissive. Now I have my own feelings right there. This is somebody who I don't think has ever been to my house again. This is somebody who was in the periphery of writing to begin with. Horror author, the negative attitude. I don't put much stock in a Stoker Award. I've never won a Stoker Award. I've never been nominated for a Stoker Award. I know a lot of people who have been nominated. Like most things, I'm going to say this. It's going to set some people off. I don't care. Armand's opinion. My opinion, it's a Stoker Awards are a popularity contest. Whoever's in the clique at the time. It has been like that forever. I was part of the HWA for many years. I was a paid member. And I said, why? What am I getting out of this? Oh, nothing. Because I'm not going to kiss anybody's butt. And that goes for most organizations. Okay. Now, there are organizations that I'm involved in to this day. NINC, Novelists Incorporated. I'm part of that organization. I think they do phenomenal work. Sisters in Crime. I'm a big part of that organization. I think they do phenomenal work. A couple other little minor ones. Florida Writers Association, I'm really not involved in too much anymore. I really didn't get too much out of it. Florida, whatever it is, FAPA. I'm still technically a member, although I get nothing out of it. And that's me, again, Armand's opinion. That's my personal. What connections am I making that mean something? I've said this before. You know, why I got away from horror and I got more into crime fiction. Because there's more money in it. There's better people in it, and I'm just going to say that, and just to be rude, I have a lot of people I've met in this that I realize it's almost like the less money you make and the less money you can make in a specific genre or subgenre, the more petty and mean you can be. Okay. I've mentioned this as a kid. I was bullied, and I don't like being bullied. Sometimes I get loud. Sometimes I act like a bully. Sometimes I strike back. Okay. And I was sick of striking back. I was sick of, I'm going to say something crappy about you before you say something crappy about me, kind of thing. What kind of life is that? Am I right? So for me, it was mentally, what kind of damage am I doing by hanging out with these people, by seeing these people? Now I will preface that by saying I went to a convention with the late great wonderful Jay Wilburn. God, I wish he was still around. I would love his opinion on all this garbage going on right now. First opinion Jay always had for anything, any kind of drama is wait 3 days. Just don't say anything. Wait 3 days. See what happens. If we're still doing all this in 3 days, then maybe make a comment. Otherwise, just leave it alone because it'll all just fizzle out. And he's right. Um, but Jay, on the way, I was like, I don't even want to go to this thing. I don't like anybody. On and on and on. He's like, you know what? It's funny. They don't even know you don't like them. A lot of these people genuinely like you. A lot of these people genuinely want you around. And I'm like, wait, I think you're wrong. And he was right. He was right, because when we got there, I had given him in the car. It's like a 10, 12-hour drive, picking up Jay in South Carolina and driving up to where we were going. And I give him my list off the top of my head of all the people that I didn't want to see, that I didn't like. And I was sure that most of them didn't like me either, because I was opinionated and because of what, and most of them had no idea. Most of them gave me, fist bumps and hugs in a couple cases, and on and on. Now, there was a couple that are just rude and they were just jerks. And I was right about those. And those people, I'm gonna be privately, I still make fun of them all the time. Anything that they post, I'm a jerk about it to my true friends, to the people that I talked about in the last, the good connections people, any of those type of people. And it's one of those where no matter what they do, it's like, when you hate that person and you just like, it's the, what's the saying? Look at the way that bitch eats that cookie. It's that kind of thing. No matter what they do, no matter what they post, I'm going to make fun of you. And I'm not doing it to your face. I'm not doing it to be hurtful to you. I'm doing it because it's my opinion and it makes me laugh. It makes me laugh to put you down, even if you don't realize I'm putting you down. Okay. And that's the insecurity of me. That's me being bullied and not having any power when I was a kid. And now I've gained this power. Okay. Even if it's makes no sense and it's in my head, it's really not an actual thing. So that being said, there's been a lot of publishers that I've also worked with over the years that are wrong connections. Okay. I had a conversation with a couple of authors recently, and we talked about, and I'm not going to name names, but we've talked about several publishers that I've sent a book to that they've oh, we love this, we're going to publish this, and like a year goes by. It's small press. A year, that's like dog years. And I say, what are we doing here? Are we going to put this book out? Are we going to get a contract? Yeah, it's coming. 6 more months goes by. What are we doing here, people? I mean, I'm prolific and I'm writing a dozen books a year, whatever it is. I still don't want these just sitting. I want to make money. Don't you want to make money? Let's see if we can make money with this. And several times I've had to finally say, I'm going to pull the book. Nothing personal, but another person, I will never work with you again. I will never send you another thing. I had a book that went all the way. We signed a contract. They hired an editor. The editor gave me all my stuff. I met with the publisher at a convention after all that had happened, and we were talking about cover designs and all kinds of different stuff. And they never put the book out. And I asked and asked, and finally the publisher was like, yeah, maybe I don't, maybe I don't have the money to put this out. Well, then why are you a publisher if you don't have money to put books out? And they put out a few more books after that. Probably they went maybe another 6 months or so, and then they folded. Then they became something else. And if I tell you what, you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. I won't work with any of the people associated with that ever again. I had another person, an author who was doing their own little small imprint. I read one of the books they put out and loved it. And I said, I have something for you if you want to look at it. They loved it. Yes, I want to look at it. We love it. The person who reads Slush Pile, they loved it. We want to put this book out. A year, back and forth. A year, crickets. And then it was, yeah, we still want to do this. I'm doing other stuff. I have a normal job, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and just hold off. Oh, we're going to put this out by next year because we're going to be at a convention together. Finally, I just said, I got to pull this. I got to pull this book. It's been 2 years. You've been sitting on this book for 2 years. So there is that list. Luckily, it's not a huge list, but there's a list of publishers that I won't work with. There are publishers out there that you hear all the horror stories. They're not paying royalties. Publishers who have never given, contributor copies. You can't print up a handful of contributor. You owe somebody 2 print copies. They're going to be like, I don't know, what are you going to spend, $10? You can't even send those. You can't send me my contributor copies if we put a book together. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of lies. There's a lot of publishers, not a lot, but there's enough publishers out there that we see all the time. Any week a publisher is dropping, hey, we can't do this anymore. I have respect for you if you're just like, I can't do this, rather than think, if you're a writer, think of several times that in the last year, 18 months, a publisher has basically said, yeah, we're going out of business, and we're going to give all your books back, but nobody's getting paid now. There's no more royalties coming. All that money's gone. So you've stolen from people. Okay? So I'm not saying don't work with publishers. I like working with publishers. I like working with certain publishers. But I'm also very wary of working with any newer publishers. I want to know everything I can about them, and I definitely want to talk to the other authors that are working with them, and not just their buddies. Every publisher seems to have their 3 or 4 authors they go to all the time, or one of the authors that they're publishing all the time is the publisher, and it's his own little vanity press type of thing, and then he's publishing his buddies too. So I'm very careful on that. And this goes all the way back to when I first started writing. I was, teenager, still in high school, and there was a thing called I grew up in New Jersey, the Garden State Horror Writers, I think it was called. I wasn't involved in it. I went to 1 or 2 meetings, like as a guest. My buddy Rod was a member, and there was an offshoot of some people who weren't in the group, but they were all writers. They did a critique group, and close to where I lived, and so I went several times, and those were the wrong connections. It was a group of it was like 2 dozen. I mean, there was a lot of people, and he would bring a chapter, and we would rotate and read our chapter for our horror novel. And then we'd get an honest critique from everyone in the room. And I remember reading what was the first chapter for Chelsea Avenue, which is a trilogy which sold very well and still sells very well, by Devil Dog Press. Go buy the trilogy now. And what's funny is I read, it was probably the first chapter or a chapter of it, whatever. 15 years, a long, long time ago. So you're talking 35 years ago is when I probably really started that book, or what became Chelsea Avenue. I don't remember what the name of it was back then. And man, these people ripped it to shreds, and not in a good way. They ripped it to shreds like, yeah, you need a lot more practice. You're not really to the point where I remember leaving that meeting. I remember two things about that night, actually. I remember leaving that meeting and sitting for the rest of it. We had like an hour left of it after they ripped me to pieces. And just sitting there quietly and fighting the tears. Literally, I'm like 20 years old. A lot of crap going on in my life at that point. Fighting back the tears and not wanting to be a writer anymore. Like you've beaten the passion out of me tonight. I also remember then leaving there, and I remember this clearly, driving to Eatontown, New Jersey to White Castle and eating like, I don't know, like 10 or 50 burgers, sliders, and just stuffing my face. And I was just so upset. And I swear I was never going back, and I never went back. And, you hear those stories all the time. A lot, and again, for me, those were the wrong connections. I don't want other authors to critique my stuff based on the way they would write the story. Okay. I don't do that. I never wanted, when I was sitting there listening, I'd be like trying to point out some of the good parts. Hey, I like the dialogue. You seem like you have some realistic dialogue there. I mean, I didn't want to say, your plot is awful, or your plot is, so you tried to do a retelling of the Maltese Falcon or something, like, you tried to do a retelling of Cujo, but the dog's a German Shepherd, that kind of whatever. I try to give some positives, and I never got the positives back. Listen, I think I have a thick skin, although people who know me know that I'm really just I'm still that 12-year-old who's afraid of everybody and everything. But I think I hide it well. I also have these giant guns. Look at it. Beat you all up. I think I hurt myself. I'm leaving that in. So there's a lot of wrong connections, and jealousy is a big factor in this. I'll talk to authors and I'll tell them, like, hey, what are your plans? And I'll let them know what I'm doing. I'll let them know my plans. And then sometimes I get that weird look from them. They're like, well, I wouldn't do that. Well, but you don't have the career that I have. You haven't done the things that I have. You don't have the same bucket list that I have. So if an author comes to me and they're like, hey, listen, I just want to write short stories. I just want I want to write and sell 100 flash fiction stories in my life. That's my goal. I'd be like, awesome. Then do that, man. You have a goal, then go for it. I don't go, well, you're not going to make any money doing that. Well, you're not. Well, that's not going to pay your rent. Again, what do I care? Just if you're writing and you're happy with it, go ahead. Now, if you go, I'm going to write flash fiction pieces and I'm going to end up paying my rent and stuff, I'll be like, all right, you got to figure that out. You got to look at that realistically. I will not talk you out of it, but I will try to say, unless you're a good friend, then I'll say, what are you, an idiot? You're not going to, how much money do you think you're going to make on flash fiction? But to somebody that I just met or whatever, I'll say, hey, is that really where your energy should be focused? You know what I mean? So again, a lot of bad people out there that are jealous. They see what you've done. They see, I don't know how many people that I've known over the years that got movie deals, TV show deals. And I'm going to be honest with you. Like, there are points where, hey, so-and-so just got a movie out. Okay. And I say to myself, well, that's awesome. I like that person. Paul Tremblay. I like that guy. Josh Mellerman. I like that guy. But then there's other ones, and I won't mention their names, that I don't like. That at one point maybe we were friendly, but now you're so egotistical, and now you've got a movie that came out or a TV series or something, and you become a total jerk. So I'm like, I'm not going to watch I'm not going to watch your movie or your show because I don't like you. And that's my personal opinion. I don't say that. I don't spread that out there. I don't go, oh, well, I wouldn't watch this guy's thing. No, I'm not going to do that. If I like you, I'm going to watch your show. Jonathan Mayberry, great guy. Harlan Coben, great guy. You know, I'll watch their shows. Movies made out of, from books. I like watching them. I want to support you. Oh, your show's on Netflix. I'm going to watch it when it comes out because I want to support you. As a fellow author, I think that's very important. Anytime I'm anywhere and like, oh, there's a book signing, we're walking through the mall or you're walking through whatever, there's a bookstore and there's an author sitting outside. Oh, tell me about your book. I'll talk if it's even halfway interesting, or if it's like, yeah, that doesn't sound all that interesting, but I'll buy a copy and I'll put it in my little free library. I'm going to support you as an author. I'm going to buy that book and put it there. I don't want to, if I know you and I'm like, oh, that guy's a jerk, yeah, I'm not going to buy your book. I'm not going to support you because you're the wrong connection for me. You are not somebody I want to be associated with. There was a guy, I'll leave it with one last little story here. There was a guy, and people who know me are going to know who I'm talking about. And he like burst onto the scene. He had a podcast and he was writing stories and on and on and on. And he got involved in some really, really big horror community BS stuff. He had no business being in. He didn't know anything that had happened personally. He didn't know the players personally, but he got involved and he picked a side and he was ripping this person apart and on and on and on and adding fuel to the fire. And when it started to die down, he inserted himself in the middle and he started going and going and going. And I just did not like this guy because of that. And I was like, I don't want to be friends with this guy. I don't want to be anywhere near him. We did a book signing once and he showed up. And I was cold to him. I mean, I was like, I want to punch this little guy out, I remember he's like, oh, get in the picture, whatever. And I'm like, I don't really want to. And I just kind of hung at the end. He took a picture of all of us authors. And I didn't want anything to do with this guy. I was just so angry because he just kept adding fuel. And I remember I had a conversation with him online about it once. And they twisted my words around as if I was agreeing with what he was saying. And I was like, dude, don't do that again. Luckily, he dropped off. I don't see his name around anymore or anything, which is a good thing, I guess. A lot of people in 38 years in this business, a lot of people have come and gone. And sometimes we'll mention a name, we'll mention a publisher that's done a series. They had a publisher. The guy came in, he bought a series from me, and he started putting out books. He started doing, anthologies, and he started doing everything wrong and trying to reinvent the wheel. And we were like, dude, no. And then he stopped paying people. The books are still on sale. I won't even mention the books because there's like 5 of them, 6 of them maybe. I have a story in all of them. And he's never paid anybody for any of these books, and it's been years. And every now and then that clown, him or the woman that he did it with, they will pop up, or they will be at a convention. They'll go to a convention. I'm like, why are you even at a convention? So just beware. Okay, there's some old school writers out there that at first I don't think I understood when they were like, gather your people, your small handful of people that you can trust. Okay. I had a conversation like this once with Brian Keene, and basically he said it was very hard for him. This is going back 10 years or more. So it's very hard for him to add new people to his group because you didn't know who you could trust. You didn't know who could turn on you, and you didn't know what their agenda was. Were they your friend because they thought you could do something for them? Were they your friend because they thought, oh, I'm hanging out with Brian Keene and Mary San Giovanni, and I'm part of that. I'm part of that group and take me seriously, which is what a woman did, which is what somebody did, and tried to ride those coattails, even though they were like, we're not your mentors. We're not, So you got to watch all that too. You got to take it all with a grain of salt, I guess. So, all right, I'm done saying random things. I want to thank you for watching these. I want to thank you for watching the 30 seconds or more of the ads. I also want to thank you because people keep sending me ideas. ArmandRosamilia@gmail.com. We're posting on the videos themselves and saying, here's an idea for a future video for you. And if I don't already have it on the list, it goes on the list. Every Wednesday, every Sunday, these videos will be popping up. I appreciate it. I appreciate you hanging out with me. Watch me live Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time for about an hour and a half or so. I write and I mostly talk, and we talk about the most random things imaginable. So if you want to know what the you want to know more writing stuff, jump in. If you want to know what the best frozen pizza is, jump in. Come on, baby. This cat killing me. This is Maisie. Maybe I'll get some views. All right. I appreciate everybody hanging out. I appreciate all the support. I appreciate the people who I appreciate.